saints or anything that people paint him to be, but I do think he has a saint brand, right? And thank you for getting to that. He is, right? And this is something that you can do in branding. You position yourself based on who your enemy is, right? So let's say if you have an organic beverage drink, right? And you're going to say, listen, we don't have any sugar in our drinks, right? We're against processed food. We're against artificial ingredients. Well, everybody that's for those same things, they're going to be like, yeah, I'm with you. We're against that as well. So now they're going to be like, okay, we must be the same, right? They haven't laid out any benefits of their drink whatsoever. They're telling you what they're against. This positions yourself in branding, right? Talking about who your enemies are. So the Democrats do the same thing with the Republicans. They don't bother trying to tell you what they're for. They're telling you who their enemy is. Their enemy is Project 2025. So if you have a brand, right, and you have a business, then you need to think about, okay, who my enemy is, because that's going to connect your audience to you and your brand and your product and your service, right? But one thing that people miss as we're looking at these things, because at first Kamala was trying to figure out what is her saying, right? And then she figured it out. We're not going back. That was her saying. That became her slogan, right? Because what they try to do is they get a strategist. And a strategist is somebody who takes a step back and they think about the moves that need to be made in the way we have to navigate this landscape. Now, Donald Trump team got in trouble because they had a strategy that was for Biden. Two old men against each other, one older than the other, geriatric. His incompetence was the enemy. And everybody can see his incompetence. He's old. He's damn near has dementia, right? So what you're doing is when you're going up against another brand, you're saying that we're better than them because they do this. This is an old brand. We're a fresh brand. We're going to be better than them, right? So as you're observing these things, what you're observing really in politics is you're observing psychology. You're observing manipulation. You're observing tricknology. You're observing marketing, neuropsychology, all of these different things as you're staring at it, right? Which is... and you can't say Donald Trump has nothing to do with Project 2025. That's 100% lie. So, because his VP is one of the co-authors and then he was on a plane with one of the brothers. So, if you don't care about 2025, just say that, but don't say he has nothing to do with it because it makes you look foolish, right? You can be for somebody, but you also have to, and this is how you know whether you drunk the Kool-Aid on both sides. You know if you drunk the Kool-Aid, if you are completely unwilling to criticize the person that you are actually voting for. Now, in brand, when you reach a certain level of sainthood, right? Because I want you to think about this in terms of religion. So in religion, you won't let nobody criticize Jesus. You're not going to let nobody criticize Muhammad, peace be upon him, right? You're not going to let nobody criticize, these sanctified leaders in your mind. Right? Because you drunk the Kool-Aid completely. Right? Now, these things today are becoming cults. So we take these politicians and you turn them into symbols. They're just people, regular people who have histories, and they're not as special as we actually make them are. But this is branding, right? We turn them into symbols of our freedom, symbols of our beliefs, symbols of our ideas. Then we personalize it. We turn them into heroes, sheroes. Right? Then they become icons. But when they cannot even be spoken about, they become saints. And when they can do no wrong, they become gods. Meaning that you know all their wrongs, but you don't even treat them as such because you believe that they are bigger than their humanity. Right? Now, we don't apply this in any other areas, particularly besides some celebrities. Like sometimes Kanye West has reached a point of sainthood to where he cannot be canceled no matter what he does. We've heard all kind of rumors, some substantiated, some unsubstantiated about Kanye West. But he's reached such a high level in his brand, he's reached sainthood. So we don't really care, right? Because who he is and what he represents he's become a symbol more than a person. But you think about the person that you with. You think about the people that you know in your life. Think about the way that you judge celebrities. Think about the way that you judge everybody else. You don't judge them with that same measuring stick, right? If they do something wrong, you will punish them. You will come up with all of the judgment that is their Armageddon day. They haven't reached sainthood in your mind. You haven't drunk the Kool-Aid of belief that you see them as a symbol, right? So number one, it's a very toxic relationship that you have in your mind with these politicians, because they realize that the game is never to give you a good politician, right? It's just to make the other one seem evil. Now, when they play a game of lesser evils, right, they don't even play a game of good versus evil. They play a game of lesser evils. That means that the bar is low. That means that the bar is evil. The bar is evil, but a lesser evil. The bar should be good. The bar should be righteous, but the bar is evil. Now, this is when you have a monopoly. You do not, and this is going back to branding, going back to business. When you have a monopoly, it doesn't matter. When you have a monopoly, it doesn't matter because people have no other choice. So Democrats and Republicans are two wings of the same bird that have a monopoly over the government. To break up that monopoly, you would need independent, right? You would need another group, Green Party, right? Black Party, whatever it may be. So right now, when you see Google getting sued because they have created a monopoly over the search engine, so that means that there can be better search engines out there, but it don't matter because nobody else will be able to compete. They can be 1,000% better. You can create one right now in your home that's 1,000,000% better. But the reason you're not going to grow is because you're not going to be able to get the dollars that come from the advertisement of people that's on those campaigns. So there are so many people right now that would say, well, I think RFK, I agree with him in his way that he positions solutions and talk about real things 1,000% more than you agree with Donald Trump or Kamala. But you say, well, I'm not going to vote for him because it's a waste of vote. Same thing with Cornel West, right? Why? Because there's a monopoly. So in a monopoly, there could be no democracy, right? That's the thing. And then the reason that these are monopolies is because these two parties have created laws that say that only they can receive a certain amount of money. Right? So there's a limit on donors of individuals that can give to candidates that are not backed by these large parties. So they're not even able to raise the same amount of money. And so America, if the campaign is based on money, then it's easier to create a monopoly. So you can have a better product than someone else, but they have so much money that they can drown you out. That's considered the so-called free market. But the free market is not so much of a free market anymore because we're not all starting from the same place. You're going against billionaires. You're going against trillion-dollar companies. You're going against 200-300-year-old families. You understand me? You're going against new money, tech money, right? You're going against investment funds, right? You're going against apex of foreign governments that won't sway over this government. So it's not actual free market. The word free shouldn't even exist in it. Right? These are oligarchies, right? Controlled by special interest groups, companies, and families that's been around forever of the ruling class. Now, in business, it's a little easier for you to enter some of these new markets. So let's say you come up with an AI company, right? Now, you're not going to be OpenAI because they have Microsoft, and Microsoft has billions, right? They are invested by BlackRock. BlackRock has infinite amount of money. But you can participate in the local market. This is why people say, well, in the local market, you can have more. In a local government, you can have more control because you can actually have sway because they don't have that amount of power the same way that they would. Now, even when we talk about Congress being important, yes, Congress is important, but we see Cori Bush. We see Andrew Bowman. They get kicked out because AIPAC decided that they wanted to be against these candidates, which is a foreign government, foreign interest group that kicked out two black people. Two black people. They kicked them out. Now, part of the reason is because they was marketing to federal issues and not local issues. So in your business, sometimes you have to know your customer, right? The same way a politician has to know their voter. So if you're talking to your customer, right, and you're not directly talking to them about things that they care about, then they're not going to buy into your product, right? You have to know what are the interests of your customers, what are the concerns of your customers, then you tackle those needs. So you're speaking directly to them as you know them. But these politicians were talking about federal needs. They were talking about Palestine and abortion rights and things of that nature. And locally, that may not be the most pressing issue for the people. The people need economics. The people need job development, right? The people need more security. The people need safety. The people need the interest rates to come down. The people need the housing rates to come down. Like, people need things that are actually going to affect their life on a local level. So as I watch these campaigns, I'm like, man, they teach every lesson in business. So, number one, no matter how good a politician is, they can be a perfect person. Right? They can be the perfect person, but they won't win unless they got the money. So it tells you it's not about the quality of the candidate. And even in business, it's not the quality of the business. A lot of it right now is about the awareness. Now, this will change. I don't know if there's going to be another election. If there is, if they're not, who knows? But it will never be decided the way it's decided like this ever again. Ever again. Why? Because we've ran out of cards to play.